What do methods mean for us in practice? Well, so far we've mostly been manipulating our variables through operators. We might add them together or subtract them or something like that. Operators worked on simple data types like integers and floating point numbers and occasionally things like strings. Going forward though, we're mostly going to be manipulating our variables using methods and functions. The reasoning necessary to manipulate advanced data types is too complex to be taken care of by simpler operators. For now though, you don't need to worry too much about how methods actually work or the meaning behind their syntax. We'll cover that in Unit 5. For now, you really just need to be able to understand what the effect of a method call will be. Let's take a simple string method that we've seen in the past, isDigit. IsDigit is a Boolean method. It's part of the string data structure, and it checks to see if a string represents a number. Note that just like functions, methods can return certain types of data as well. In this case, isDigit returns either a true or a false value. That's why I say it's a Boolean method. Its return type is Boolean. Other methods could return integers, strings, or more complex data types just like functions can. So really, a method is just like a function in a lot of different ways. But if we look at this syntax and try to think about isDigit as a function, we face a question. How does isDigit know what string to look at? In other words, how does isDigit know what string to check when it's checking to see if the string is made just of digits? Usually, the string would be passed into isDigit as an argument. But here, the open close at the end of isDigit indicates that there are no arguments to that method. We're not passing anything in. The answer to this lies in the fact that isDigit is contained inside the string data type. That means every string that we create has access to the isDigit method. So when called, the isDigit method acts on whatever string called it. So here, we have a variable named myNumericString, and it's of the type string. Like I said, every string has isDigit as a method that it has access to, and we access it via this dot. Dot means that the part after the dot is part of the data type contained in the variable name before the dot. So here, the type string has a method isDigit, accessed by this dot. Whatever string precedes the dot is the string that isDigit will look at. So when this code runs, we create two variables, myNumericString and myNonNumericString, and we give them the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and A, B, C, D, E. On line 5, we print the value of myNumericString dot isDigit. The dot tells isDigit to look at myNumericString when checking to see if the string is a digit. Sure enough, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is all digits, and so it prints true. On line 7, it does the same thing, but with myNonNumericString as the variable. The dot tells isDigit to look at that variable, so it looks at myNonNumericString, and it sees that it's A, B, C, D, E, which are not digits, and so it prints false. Now, in the past for something like this, we've used the example of Addison. Addison was a function. Now let's take another example. Imagine Dana is another coworker, but let's treat Dana as a variable of type coworker. Just like we could have variables of type integer or type string, we could also have a variable of type coworker. Now the coworker type might have a method called getMyName. And we might say that that's the equivalent of asking a coworker for their name. When someone asks Dana for her name, she doesn't have to holler to some other function in the workplace and ask, hey, what's my name? She knows her name. It's Dana. In fact, every coworker knows their own name, but for every coworker, the answer to the question is different. That means they all have the same method, getMyName, which requires no input and returns a different result for each coworker. The reason why is when asked their name, each coworker knows to return their own name. That's what it means for that variable to have that method. The method is contained inside of it, and so its results can be specific to whatever variable actually called that method. So a method is a function defined within a data type that must be called from a particular variable. When it's called, it knows to look at the variable from which it's called. MyNumericString dot isDigit means that the isDigit method knows to look at myNumericString. Or perhaps even more intuitively, it's like telling myNumericString to respond about whether or not it itself is a digit. It's like asking a question of a data type, or like asking a data type to do something.